This is a journey.
Let me take you on a journey.
There will still be
The journey.
New sheriff in town, and his name is
The Journey.
Journey.
This thing is bigger than Nino Brown. This is The Journey.
The journey.
What is it that moved you?
The Journey. The Journey. The Journey. The Journey.
Welcome back to The Journey. I'm your host, Larry Robinson, and today we got a different kind of Memphis icon, one that has really charted his own path in a very unique way, but nevertheless still a Memphis icon. Today we have Malik Martin. Many of you know him as Malik the Martian. Malik's a photojournalist. He's a storyteller, producer. He's becoming a videographer. I mean, this cat is really taking off, but I'm sure his journey has required the same pitfalls and challenges and trials and tribulation as other Memphis icons. So without further ado, introducing Mr. Malik the Martian. What's up, Malik?
What's going on, Larry?
Man, you got it. You got it, man. We're going to talk about your journey, man. I really appreciate you being willing to be so transparent.
Yeah, I'm like second guessing that. How transparent I really have to
Listen,
be.
man, it's going to be painless. It's going to be painless, I promise you. So, first question.
Yeah.
This is the getting to know you round.
Okay.
So real quick Cliff Note answers, but because we're going to unpack it on the second segment. So,
Okay.
First, who outside your parents made the biggest impact on your life?
Outside of my parents, easily my grandmother, because my grandmother adopted me when I was 2 years old.
Okay.
After adopting me, she moved me to Salt Lake City, Utah, to give me a chance, change of environment, better resources, and it's because of those decisions she made. It essentially gave me like the foundation of what makes me me, or like my educational foundation, which helped with, everything along the way.
I gotta understand how a brother from Memphis, Tennessee, grew up in Salt Lake, but we gonna get back to that.
It was terrible.
So what decision have you made in your life that you didn't realize was gonna be a life altering decision, but ultimately became very impactful?
I mean, learning how to be more in tune with yourself and like to be able to recognize the things that the universe is trying to connect you with, or listening to your calling, because in college it kind of like chipped away at my creative spirit because everybody was so cookie cutter at the university I went to. Nobody was dreamers, nobody was artists, except like the actual art majors. But then even them, you'd be like, what are you going to do after college? It's like, I guess I'm a graphic design for it. It's not really like I'm going to create my own.
Okay.
So it was just a decision to, ultimately, I guess it's when I moved into a tent to get a camera was like the one thing that I knew it was what I needed to do to get a camera to pursue my passion. I didn't know that everything after it would be on the table. Like I often tell people, I can't quantify what happened after. And if I could go back in time when I was just laying in a tent and be like, wake up, in 4 years you're going to be working with the North Face, I would have been trying to figure out how to connect the dots.
Absolutely.
Instead of just, chase your dream and your love. So
Fantastic. Absolutely. So where'd you spend your early years, and what did that community give you as an individual and as a man?
I spent my early years in Salt Lake City, Utah. From the age of 2 to 11 years old, I was in Salt Lake, and that community gave me hell. It gave me racism. But like within that, I got like a resilience and a fight inside of me too. Because once you're attacked and met with so much hate early on, that just, to survive it, you have to be strong. And then like moving back to Memphis, where only the strong survive. It wasn't as hard. It was a hard transition, but not as hard as you thought it would be.
Wow. Okay. Man, I can't wait to the second segment. When did you know you was going to be a success, Malik? When did you know that, like, I'm going to be all right? Is there a moment?
It was like homecoming 2012.
Homecoming, what does that mean? Homecoming for what?
It was I was my college homecoming in 2012.
Okay, what school did you go to?
Arkansas State University.
Okay.
I had like a couple of frat brothers over the weekend, and I had went on this spiritual journey inspired by fungus that comes from the ground. And I had like experienced ego death where I faced my past and everything that happened to me. And it was that morning that I remember like vividly making a promise to myself and to like God that like no matter what, I'm gonna be an artist. I'm gonna do this. And it was then like in 2012 when I started reading books on how to tell a story that doesn't suck with a camera, and like reading the books before I even had a camera. And it was like the work started then and that day.
What's your why? What drives you every single day?
My why is to hopefully, like, when I'm gone, I have been able to translate how I be feeling through the medium, which is film or documentary style. Those, like, moments of when I was all by myself and had those feelings of uncertainty but still went on. I want to be able to have translated that into, different mediums. That's what my life goals are.
You today, how different are you today from the dreams of your childhood?
Surprisingly, it's lined up because I wanted to be a director. I always, we didn't have cable growing up, so I'd come home and just listen to music. And back then they didn't shoot videos for all the songs on the album like they do now. Right. And I would recreate videos in my head, and in middle school, I directed a couple plays. But I got away from it as you got older because, everyone tells you need a real job,
right.
How you going to be a director,
Right.
They shoot it down. But it, it's coming back around to that now, but it is connecting baseline straight from childhood because I just wanted to create. Even in college, you'd be like, after you graduate, what you going to do? I was like, I don't know, create. It's like, create what? It's like, I don't know,
I'm just going to create.
But, eventually everything came together. I was just pushing the buttons and the machine talked back, so.
All right. Now, you talked about your early years in Salt Lake City and being faced with racism.
Yes.
When did you know that you were black? What's that moment? Is there a moment in your life that you can definitely point to that you was like, okay, I'm black?
In first grade, I had a teacher named Miss Taylor. It was at Westbrook Elementary School, and we were doing the paper plate yarn for hair, little kids, bring home. And I'm the only black kid in the district, not the class, the whole school district. I'm the only black kid. And in my class, all the white kids was using peach to color in their face. And I'm sitting there, perplexed. I got the 64 box Crayola, and I asked Miss Taylor, what crayon am I supposed to use? And she walked over and handed me the black crayon. And it wasn't until I moved to Memphis and I was 12 and I found I looked like Sambo, red lips, black face. And it wasn't until third grade, some cousins from Memphis came and visited, and I was saying something yeah, because you black. And I was because you black, the color black. And he was like, nigga, we brown. What the fuck is you talking about? You're not actually black. And then that was just why do they call us that? You know what I mean? And having to process that. But it was ever since I was a kid. I know how evil they can be. You know what I'm saying? So.
Wow. Well, listen, so you've listened to the Getting to Know You round, so you can imagine that this is going to be an amazing conversation with Malik the Martian right here on The Journey on the KUDZUKIAN Network. Don't go anywhere because we'll be right back.
The Journey.
Jazz, America's own original musical art form. When did it start? Who were and are some of the major players? How do you distinguish what kind of jazz you're listening to? We talk about the great and lesser-known artists, songs and tunes, the instruments, and the social impact jazz has had on world culture since its beginning at the start of the 20th century.
Riffin' on jazz on the KUDZUKIAN Network. KUDZUKIAN!
And we're back on The Journey. I'm your host, Larry Robinson. And today, like we were saying, if you listen to the first segment, you know that we got a powerhouse second segment coming. Today we have Malik the Martian, photojournalist, director, storyteller, producer. I mean, the man is truly a man of many hats, but all in the creative realm. Malik, we're going to unpack your life a little bit. So I got to ask you, tell us about your early years. You talked a little bit about Utah, but what got you from Memphis to Utah, and what was your family structure like that got you to Utah and all that during that period of time?
Okay. My family my family structure was like non-existent. My parents were drug addicts, you know. The first 2 years of my life kind of don't exist. I don't have any definitive, like, my first words, you know. My dad said it was this, my mom said it was that, my grandma said it was this, my uncle said it was that. You know, like all my first, there's no pictures. That's why I take a lot of pictures now, because like my childhood, nobody documented my childhood. Wow. So I started documenting my own, and like my teenage years, I had like a Vivitar.
Well, hold on. Before you go there, during your early years, when you made that transition to Utah, where was you said the family, mother and father were drug addicts. So what was that like, and what were you thinking as a young child during that time? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I ain't really understand it. You know, like even when we was in Utah and not talking to your parents, you don't understand it as a child. Like, where are they, or like, you know, why you don't know them like that. But you want to, you know, as a kid. But it just gets to a point, for me, the way I learned to survive is to like not care. Okay. And I mean, that's strange. Like, I ain't close to nobody really. You know what I mean? Like emotionally available. Like I'm not a very open, emotional person. But it's just because that's how, as a child, to learn how to understand why your parents don't talk to you. I just like don't care about too much or nothing, really. Okay. I mean, it's just, you know.
Do you have fond memories? Is there a fond memory of your childhood or a time that really, you know, you enjoyed?
I mean, we had, everything wasn't like bleak in Utah. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's fond memories of like bad stuff. I remember like I got jumped by some white boys, and I was cool with the Latino community, so I went and got like my Aguilar brothers. It was 4 of them. I went and got them, you know what I'm saying? Went and got my lick back, you know what I'm saying? It's not all bad. Even there was like one year we won like this JCPenney raffle for like Christmas, and we got like $10,000 worth of stuff, you know, like from floor to ceiling, Home Alone 2 looking type packages. You know, snowing and sledding with your friends, and, you know, it wasn't all bad. But there was always like a hinge of underlying racism, you know what I'm saying? And as a kid, you don't understand. Like the first time I was racially profiled, I went over to my friend's house. We stayed in this apartment complex. And the apartment complex was kind of high on a hill looking down over some businesses' storefronts. And there was a group of kids throwing snowballs at the business storefront. And I was standing in front of my friend's house, and we weren't with the kids because we didn't want to get in trouble. I was specifically like, my grandma gonna whoop me if I get in trouble. You know what I'm saying? On my walk home, I get a police officer pulls up and stops me and says, someone described you on the scene, because I had a purple Jazz sweater on. But I'm a kid. I'm not knowing it's like, it's a black kid with a purple sweater on. It's like I'm the only nigga in the neighborhood. You know what I mean? But it was good and bad. You know what I mean? Like for every bad or like, you know, like racist thing, every fight I was in, I appreciate it, because like, you know, hard body. You know, I don't know. I wouldn't want it any other way, because it's just like to overcome constant aggression and constantly being attacked. As a grown man, you know what I'm saying? I'm what the moderate left would define as a revolutionary. You know what I mean? Okay. Because I understand that there is no middle ground with these people, and I understand what they are capable of. I understand what they teach their children. You know, like there was times where it was like, it's Billy's birthday, whole class get invited. You can't come over my house. And this is coming from the parents, you know what I'm saying? Because in the Mormon Bible, whatever they have, it's like they just removed being a sin like when I was a child, like 5 or 6 years before I was out there. So
they just removed being a sin.
yeah, like in the whatever their book is, Latter-day Saints, or like it was at one point in their religion, it was like a sin to be black, or like you were cursed to be black from God or something. Like, I don't know if there's any Lutherans listening, or not Lutherans, whatever, Latter-day Saints, clear it up, but y'all know y'all history.
Right. Well, listen, you make the jump from those teen years. I assume you get back to Memphis.
Yeah.
What was that like? What was that going from an environment that was so racially dominant to actually having it almost flipped on its head in some areas of Memphis?
That's what it feels like, flipped on its head. Cause like I moved to South Memphis. I'm from Trigg and Mississippi Boulevard. You know what I'm saying? Went to Hamilton, and I basically both sides of the track went from being the only black. You only seen black people at the one black church in Utah, and then you never seen black people the rest of the week. It'd be like once a week, it'd be like, this is where the black people. You don't never see black people ever. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's more diverse now in 2020 than it was in the 90s.
Right.
But coming home, I remember like the first time I went to Super Value on Bellevue, just standing in the doorway, perplexed, because I'd never seen so many black people in one time. Like it just in awe, because it wasn't scary. It was like at home, it was welcoming, it was warm. But I had never seen so many black people at once. And that was like a shock. And, going to school, like it was completely different. Like they beat kids here. You know what I mean? Like my whole life, you don't put your hands on me. I remember the first time like they was going to beat the whole classroom because a couple of kids was acting bad.
Right.
And, like I talk white or whatever. And they were, like got in front of the class and he was like, you next. And I was like, you're not hitting me. They're like, what do you mean? You don't need I'm like, you're not hitting. Why you put your hands on me? Yes, you can call my mother. What's wrong with you? Like, Granny, they're up here talking about they're going to hit me. Like, what the hell is wrong? You know what I mean? But, like, in the hood, just how it is okay for a fucking stranger to beat your kids. Like, beat your child. The fight, my first day, I remember I met my best friend to this day, his name is Devin Marshall, but he like, a goody two-shoes ass kid. And he was like, I stand in the front of the line when we switch class because all the bad kids go to the back. And I'm like, shit, I'm going to the back. You know what I'm saying? That's where the action is. He was like, no, man, I'm telling you, don't go back there. They be fighting and getting in trouble. I'm like, I'm going to go to the back. I must have walked to the back for like 3 seconds. He got the jacket, tearing up, breaking desks. I was like, oh, my God. I walked back to the front. He was like, I knew you'd be back. I'm not ready, you know what I'm saying? Like I just want to go to science class. My bad.
So you've made the transition to Hamilton, and you starting to I guess become integrated into South Memphis.
Mm-hmm. I had to learn how to check.
Oh, of course.
That's more important than fighting.
Yeah, you better know how to check. So you're making the transition to college.
Yeah.
What was that moment that made you say, you know what? I'm going to go to I'm going to go to Arkansas State University.
It wasn't a moment of happiness to go to Arkansas State University. Back in my day, nobody went to Arkansas State on purpose. Like, if you was from Jonesboro, but as an athlete, you didn't go there on purpose. It was always your second, third, fourth choice.
Right.
I was originally supposed to go to Texas Southern University. I ran track.
Okay.
We won state, you know what I'm saying, my senior year. I didn't win, but, like, I was a decent, proficient runner.
Okay.
And I got injured, though, the AAU season going into what would be my freshman year. And I real bad shin splints, damn near needed surgery. And, like, they basically rescinded the scholarship from Texas Southern. The coach looked me in the face, like, when I went to, like, register, he was just like, I got walk-ons run faster than you right now. I mean, it basically just be a waste of my time to, like, you know, give you even like a walk-on position on my team type stuff. So I was just like, I ain't gonna go to college. And my trainer, he invited me to a track meet that was at Arkansas State during the summer. I was coming off injury. Mm-hmm. I ended up winning 2 races. The coach was impressed, and he offered me a walk-on spot. I eventually got a scholarship eventually the next year. But that's what made me go, because they were the only school to offer. I mean, U of M offered eventually, right before it was like U of M, Arkansas State, but I just needed to get out of Memphis, because at the time it was like, it'd be like shooting on you know what I'm saying, Gaither Street. And be like, man, you know, Lil Larry didn't stay on Gaither Street. Lil Larry shot and killed. I was like, damn. You know, like it was so crazy in the city that I just wanted to get out.
You wanted to get out.
Yeah, because there was no.
Was that due to what you experienced as a child and being in a different environment that maybe wasn't as rough?
Nah, I mean, because I didn't understand it then, but I knew I was like looking for more resources. You know what I mean? And then understanding that the amount of resources, like if I wouldn't have left the city, or like how certain situations wouldn't change, because college is one thing with the books and the classes, but really the best thing that you get from college is the acclimation and the experiences that you have with dealing with people,
right? And
all the different type of, when you start meeting the narcissists, the sociopaths, the crazy ass niggas, you know what I mean?
Right.
You get your heart broke by this one, you meet this type of one, like that is the part of college that helps you become like a prominent member of society.
Right.
And like the people, what we see now is the kids who like got the 4.6 GPA, but you never did anything and you're a fucking weirdo and nobody likes you at your job, but you just do your work and you wonder why you don't get no, you know, like,
right.
I don't know, me being a successful cameraman, my trade and talent is one thing, but your personality is another. Like, would you want to hang out with me on a tour? Do you want me on an expedition for 2 weeks in a tent? Right. You know, in close quarters. So like learning how to deal with the different type of people is, you know, something that
socialization standpoint from college is very important. I would agree. Listen, this is The Journey, and you're listening to The Journey of Malik the Martian. So you've made the transition to college. You're now an adult. Mm-hmm. Give me an idea of what your life looked like. You have children, you're married.
I didn't have children. I wasn't married. I was working in Red Lobster as a dishwasher. You know what I'm saying? Like I was fucked up. I was not ideal. I had a roommate who never paid his rent. He was always short. You know what I'm saying? Like it was a bad situation, but I met a woman named Warisi, and like she basically told me like it's not over. I was like 26, and I was just like, it's never gonna get no better than this. I didn't went to college, you know. I was trying to still create. Like I could write a verse in my head, like in the kitchen, because it just got to a point like, you know, come up with a 4-bar, come up with 8 bars, was regurgitated.
So you've rapped as well?
Oh, I'm a poet. Okay. So you know, I dabble in rapping, but it's just, you know, I don't want to be the guy on stage. You know,
gotcha.
I do enjoy rhyming though. Mm-hmm. It is a good pastime. But you know, just being able, I never stopped creating even when I was in the kitchen. And then, you know, it just started searching for what ways can I set myself in a predicament where I can create more or not be in such a stressful environment, you know, got a different job, more money eventually.
What's your greatest successes? Give me a great success in your life at this point.
I don't know, because like the thing, I don't really like where.
Would you consider the North Face opportunity a success?
Yeah.
Tell us about that. How did that come about?
The North Face opportunities came about through Memphis Rocks, which is a nonprofit rock climbing gym in South Memphis. I had came there for a story. We had an intern at the paper, and she was interviewing one of the people at Memphis Rocks, part of the founding staff.
Okay.
And from there, I didn't do any research. I just showed up.
Right.
And once I showed up, I was like, dang, you know, the hood gone. This is gentrification. And I didn't know the motto or the mission of the place. But after interviewing Chris, they let us climb for the first time. And I climbed. I was scared, but I was like, okay, this is cool. And they were like, hey, we don't open for like 3 weeks. Would you like to climb? And I was like, yeah, I can start. So every day I started coming. Eventually they was like, you want to work at the front desk? And I was freelancing full time.
Right.
So working there part time like helped level my foundation where I could stop pulling my hair out. And from there, it was like I'd be working at the front desk watching stuff on YouTube, like climbing stuff. And I was like, how are they filming this? Helicopters? And it's like, nah, it's people on ropes. And it's like, oh shit. So I started learning how to climb better, how to rig better, how to rig and take photos. And I started doing like climbing competitions. I eventually became the photographer for the gym. And now I'm like the director of social media for the gym. just because of the content I create and, the places
Tell
I am.
Tell me about that being out on the mountains with North Face.
It is amazing. I mean, I'm very fortunate my mentors are like Conrad Anker, one of the most decorated rock climbers in the world, Jimmy Chin, Oscar Award-winning photographer, outdoorsman. So it's just breathtaking. I mean, like, it's just a reset anytime I'm in the mountains. To be a kid from Memphis where ain't no mountains and to be on the North Face or affiliated with the North Face is just huge, Like, I didn't even own a jacket before I started messing with North Face. So it's like to have a closet full of jackets now, just, that's not the goal, but It's just cool to, like, staying dedicated to the love and the craft and everything that came with it.
All right. Any regrets?
No, not really. I mean, most of it I would still do twice, you know what I mean? I would have broke up a little earlier in my last relationship. That's like the only difference. That's about it. Other than that, everything that I did is what makes me me, and it wouldn't be me if I hadn't experienced it. So
fantastic. All right, so this is it. This is the last question, and this is totally you. Young boys and men are listening and watching you today. Mm-hmm. What would you want to leave them with? What would you say to keep them encouraged and moving forward?
I would say, tough times are just like that, just tough times. They're not forever. We are always stronger than what we believe, and no matter the circumstances, always try to do your best every day. Now, your best is different. Like I might do my best and, it's down here, but the next day it's up here. But as long as I'm trying my best, because when I think back to what brought me success and how I got here was just being able to execute to the best of my ability at that time. When I overlook on past projects or past photos and stuff, it's like, oh, I could have did this differently, or I would approach that like this. But if it wasn't for those past experiences that I carry with me presently, I wouldn't be able to, like, make those type of discernments moving forward. So no matter what, just keep going. If you have any type of thoughts in your head, you have them for a reason. You just have to figure out how to put them together. And, like, the world wants you to win. The universe conspires to help you win. So you just got to pay attention to it, because it's going to meet you halfway. Now, it don't mean it's going to be easy. You know what I'm saying? But I do believe once you become dedicated to whatever your heart desires are, the universe is going to help you meet you halfway. You just got to figure out how to get there and keep going no matter what. Because if you truly want to do it, then nothing can stop you, I could never be affiliated with North Face ever again. And it's like, did you stop taking pictures? It's like, nah, that doesn't change. It amplifies or, like, makes signal boost it more, but it doesn't change my love for what I'm doing, because my love is what brought them to me. So.
Fantastic. And we're going to leave it at that. Malik the Martian,
yes.
Malik Martin, thank you for taking the time to share your journey on the journey. Listen, come back. Each time we're going to have something a little bit different, but nevertheless just as great. Memphis Icons, right here on The Journey on the KUDZUKIAN Network. Till the next time, I'm your host, Larry Robinson. Take care.
The Journey, hosted by Larry Robinson. Executive producer, the Delta Boulay.